Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's race. Not only is this a very hype race of the two 5-0 runners, Dia and Dustygriff, against each other, but we also have a special surprise for you, so keep watching. I am Dr. Shinobi, and I am joined by Solaris. Solaris, how are you this evening?
I am doing great, Baka. I am so hyped for this matchup tonight. How are you doing?
I am also excited for this matchup. Dia and Dustygriff are two very top-tier runners who I do not believe have gone faced off against each other in tournaments before. Dustygriff has been a part of the old guard, having been here since the first Highway to the Zenith Zone, while Dia, slightly newer, but did make a big splash in the Hopen and made a big splash in Zenith Zone 3 and in Fabul Gauntlet. So, two very exciting runners to go and watch.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny because being at the 5-0 position, these are our only two runners in this place. So in a way, actually, the stakes are very low for them. One will go 5-1, the other will go 6-0. They're already both missing out on the first round that the 4 and 2s will have to go through. Some of them anyways, before the round of 32. The only difference otherwise here is that the 5-1 player might have a tougher matchup in that round of 32, or if they have to go to a round of 16 after that I'm not sure about. But so this might be more of like an exhibition match. That might be the mindset that we see here. Either way, I think we're going to have fun. I think they're going to have fun. And I think everything's just going to be great.
Oh yeah, I see both Dia and Dustygriff not really caring about stakes, but still definitely wanting to win, if for nothing else other than pride in beating a very fierce opponent, because again, Dustygriff is a former champion of two free enterprise competitions, and Dia has been a big name and a big scary racer for a while. So both of these are losing might not be for might not matter for tournament progression, but it matters for pride, and I think that's what they have in spades.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to call out the fake objectives we had for a moment. As a person who is always cold, keep but warm. I feel that. So how do you feel about boss objectives that are objectively free?
They depends on where they're located, because if they're both in the giant, you're going to have to do both of them. It might not take very long because they'll definitely be a very, very distinct shade of free. But you don't want to go to the giant on these flags because we have the vanilla giant flag turned on, which is, if you go into the giant, congratulations, you're there until you finish it. No backing out and using the star to get back to the whale. Have to go and defeat both bosses in the giant to get out.
Yeah, the only way our runners will end up at the giant earlier than that is if we find exactly Teller or Fu. We get access to weak, and there's an obvious grind, like incentive to do a grind there. I've not actually seen that personally. I know Dia mentioned very early on that she's ended up in a seed where she did that. So who knows? That could come up, but we'll see what happens. For now, we're going to get started and see who we start with and what we start with.
Yes, we have Young as the first character, who is not so great to carry, and Helm as the second character is much better to see. Kenazo at the Bagan spot, giving a Baron key, saying, "Hey, come and fight me anytime you want." That's an interesting thing to go and pick up.
I've seen a number of these Baron key starts lately. It's kind of like Kenazo is saying, "Here you go, kids. Here's the keys to the house. Don't be home late."
Yeah, but it does mean if we have a hook route, Kenazo cannot be the hook boss, nor can he be a boss on the CPU and the giant, if that becomes necessary. And that's some pretty good information. Kenazo is one of those characters, one of those bosses who is very tedious to deal with sometimes, or dangerous in others.
Yeah, it's good to know that he's gone. I expect Dia and Dusty to do very little shopping. And when we do very little shopping, there's a good chance that we don't see Thor rages. And just knowing you don't have to have that in the back of your mind is honestly pretty nice here.
Yeah, and we see both Dia and Dusty going to the Watery Pass to loot these chests, which on these flag sets we have T Wildish, which means that there's location-based loot. And this location is higher rated than others simply because you don't really have a good reason to come here. There are no mandatory bosses, no key item checks, no character checks on these flags, as we also have no free characters turned on.
Yeah, I love this early looting, either here at the waterfall or Castle Eblin also has similar good density of loot and good high quality on the T-Wildish flags. Dia, known for brute forcing seeds without doing really much looting at all in our last tournament, does do looting here because you still want to earn some money and get some of that good loot. So the early looting makes a lot of sense to me. Get some power on your team. Palom really doesn't do anything without at least this first level. And then I will say, once Palom has experience, we really don't need to do much looting until we're underground, and that may be what happens here.
Yeah, and Dusty is going into Kaipo, looking at the weapon shops. I'm guessing he's looking for a dancing dagger for Palom. Did go and check his equipment and saw that Palom has a crossbow, which is really not a great weapon for Palom, and did check the character in the bed, who I didn't see, but I think might be Tella.
I also believe Tella is who I saw. Yeah, and our restreamer and tracker confirming it. Meanwhile, objective found immediately. Here's that dark elf.
Well, depending on how you feel about seeds going quickly, that's either ominous or amazing, because one objective down, we don't need to complete every objective. We only need to complete 4 of 5. And knowing where one boss hunt is, unless Demas is on the giant, that's never going to be necessary, but it might be faster in some cases.
Yeah, it's actually slightly annoying finding the dark elf here. It's not going to be a problem for Dia, but it's just you kind of want to see this boss at a more difficult location, because after he says, me change, me lose boss bit, this boss does not have what would protect him from various effects like stop, weak. So it's usually pretty easy to deal with this second form, but at this power level, this early on, there's really nothing to do but just try to beat him the normal way.
Yeah, this the loss of the boss bit might be something, but this team really doesn't have a way to go and exploit that at the moment, and Palom is doing his best, but only getting a few hundred points of damage each time, while Dustygriff is going and looting the MC and seems to be choosing to go and do a bit more of a standard opener. Probably going to go to Antlion first.
Yeah, Dia actually quite rewarded here because of finding that Kane, who can use the Dwarven Axe from the starting kit. That weapon has a good amount of attack power to it this early in the game, and we saw that even though Kane was turned into a pig, pigs don't care, they still jump, and hers still did a good 500 damage per.
Everyone says, oh, we'll see that when pigs fly. Well, I guess we're seeing a lot of things coming true today.
Literally.
Now Dia is choosing to go into Antlion Cave, and Dusty is choosing to go up here, and probably likely going to do something similar to Dia, but does have a bit more loot. Dia is choosing to go and take off all of her equipment that she put on Yang to get to Kane, because Kane's going to be able to go and do a bit more. Yang's primary source of increasing attack power comes from increasing his level, Yang's power comes from his levels, while Kane can go and equip high power weaponry. Putting Kane in the middle slot also increases Kane's accuracy, so he's going to go and hit a bit harder.
Yeah, Kane early on is going to be much more of an asset here than Yang, who levels. And I just noticed that Dia has a poison axe, which is even better than a dwarven axe. So that's likely what she used to get through that fight. But we'll see what is in the Antlion Cave today. It's a sparkle.
I appreciate that Kane glitched out for... Oh, it's that sparkle, huh? Dia.
I would say it's the panic sparkle, but that jump being really critical there. And did Palom just dodge?
Palom dodged. That was a one-roll Mega Nuke, and Palom dodged the Mega Nuke. That is something you can do when you have enough combined magic power stats. And Dia also probably... getting the pan from the spot, but also I want to call out, that jump is not a very quick attack. Even though she went and got it in quickly, there was still a bit of a charge time on it, so it is... Either Dia is very confident of how quickly Kane can act in these circumstances and jump and still miss the Mega Nuke, or she is very frugal and just did not want to spend a Star Veil no matter what.
Yeah, I didn't catch how many Star Veils they started with. I could imagine if they only started with 2, I believe it's 2 to 4 randomly that you start with, I could definitely see just kind of going for going, preserving. And also, this is the power of anchoring, right? Like you were saying, with that cane being quite fast, even with that charge time, still had time to get that jump off. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's just Dia's vast knowledge of this game.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I will have to try and remember to ask her about that. Meanwhile, Dustygriff barely squeaking through that Dark Elf fight, only Palom getting levels, but only Palom really needs them because that level goes and turns on his tier 2 spells.
Yeah, Palom's really the only one who needs the experience here early on this team. It is, of course, nice on our other characters, but having access to Ice 2 and then later Fire 2 and Lit 2 really is almost all the power that you need for most of the very early overworld.
Yeah, there are a few situations where you're going to regret having those tier 2 spells. Paladin, come! Excuse me. Yeah, Paladin is not the fight that you want to go and see because he absorbs all those tier 2 spells, and elemental damage is only so good against something that absorbs all of it.
Yeah, Ogopogo not very good either. Does have that blaze counter to all magic except the thunder element, which you can exploit that and cast Lit 2, knowing that a weak would not guaranteed kill a party member, but it's still a fight that you don't really want to cast spells against. You could reflect spells, unlike Pale Dim, but it's like you really don't want to.
Yes, that is definitely, you don't really want to go and be reflecting spells if you can avoid it. Using a Star Veil and then just the time it takes to set up, you much prefer just go straight in and do damage.
Meanwhile, Mylan tells us his little speech about his body, and we're going to see what the reward is here.
Yeah, Dia going and getting through a second check while Dusty was going and getting himself set up. Dusty doing a bit more looting than Dia, so losing some time early. Might be able to pick it up based off just having more things, but Dia is definitely going and showing her normal aggressive style, getting the package, which I expect our runners will be interested in checking, as Fusoya is available, and Fusoya is a very good character to get on these flags.
Oh yeah, both runners will absolutely check that package character. You do not want to leave a Fusoya on the table. It's just a massive power advantage. Even finding an Edge or a Tala, or there are a number of characters that have good utility that they might not pick up immediately, but I do think we're going to see that package check, and we might see some boss checks at the Mist Cave and Waterfall Cave while we're here. And yeah, we see Dia immediately head to see who that package character is.
Yep, and it is Porum. Not worth going and picking up, it seems. Meanwhile, we see Dustygriff not getting the lucky dodge that Thea did on her Palom, but using a Star Veil, getting through that Wyvern fight, and is getting his Pan, while Dia is making her way to Ordeals.
Yep, and I like how you called out about Dia's typical style of aggression here, because we're also seeing Dustygriff's typical style, at least from the last major tournament that we had, where Dusty is a player who really likes to get the loot early and to play a very kind of a conservative role where you are looking for essentially power overwhelming as soon as you can get it, and then kind of run over the rest of the seed with that. We'll see if that continues throughout.
Yeah, part of this... part of Free Enterprise in general really rewards being able to go and hit a critical mass at certain points and just roll over fights rather than going and sitting at just barely able to get through fight power levels. And we see Dia is finding Octomam in the first spot. Octomam is a boss who only punches. He punches kind of quickly because he's got 8 arms, but as you hit him more and more, he loses them, and then he's just kind of sad and flailing about and not really going and achieving anything.
How do you suppose he's swimming in this mountain right now?
I think that's why he might go and be a little underpowered at the moment, because I think he's just flipping his tentacles a little bit, as rock's kind of hard to move through.
Yeah, he's under just a little too much pressure here.
Yeah, he's seized up a bit as he is now defeated Dia through the first fight of Ordeals, while Dustygriff is going into dealing with the Fabul fight.
Yep, Dia making herself some fresh calamari here and finding CPU at the back attack. This is fine. CPU is always kind of annoying because it just takes some time to get through. This is maybe one of the best times to get it though. Kane jumping with that poison axe will make pretty good work of it. But speaking of a boss you don't want to cast spells against, the CPU puts up a wall very quickly and would reflect any of those spells that you would cast.
Yeah, I think Dia is not really going to be doing much with Pal in this fight unless he's throwing potions, because that Remedy node is doing a whole bunch, going and throwing out Wow. Just throwing out all the healing, and Yang still hasn't gotten his turn to hit the defender node, and the defender node is healing up the damage that Dia has just done. This is kind of rare that Yang would miss that, but he is not perfect accuracy.
It's like playing dodgeball or something. I guess the reverse of dodgeball. The balls are dodging you.
Ball dodge coming to a gripping stadium near you for when you want to go and see nothing really happen for a bit. As now we see Dia is finally going to be able to make progress in that fight as the defender node is down and is going to stop healing the main body of the CPU. Getting 1,000 damage, only going to probably take one more jump from Kain, maybe two more because of the early heal from that first jump, but CPU is pretty close to going down, I think.
Chad asking a good question if Yang has that Charm Claw on. That claw does have worse accuracy on it.
And I do believe Dia put a Poison Claw on Yang.
Ah, okay.
Poison Claw is... Charm Claw is the only claw that does not give accuracy. But Dustygriff finding the free Water Hag fight in Miss Cave, so no D-Mist hiding their vanilla location today. Also finding that Porum, who is also getting left behind.
Yeah, I mean, we like white mages on this seed, or actually just in free enterprise in general, we like our white mages. I know people like to kind of dunk on Porum for being the 5th best white mage in this game, but it's still a source of Zerk and good utility, but probably don't want to wait 2 minutes for one.
Yeah, that's not really something you want to go and deal with. That's a long cutscene, and Porum, she just gets so little HP that it's really hard to justify her. Also, we have a hook, which means we are likely going to the underground through Upper Babel, the more exciting way, and I'm sure our runners are both happy to see that. Also, speaking of things happy to see, Dustygriff has found a Zeus Gauntlet on the way up, and a second Poison Claw.
Yeah, really, 2 really good pickups for, one really good pickup for Kain here. And then also later on, if we happen to find just a little bit more melee gear, Yang really appreciates the additional strength and attack multipliers. Really a character needing equipment to do much of anything for a lot of the game.
Yes, that's, Kain really likes having his equipment. Yang is Punch Mage. Yang does not need much of anything, theoretically, to go and get to very high levels of power, just because as I said, his damage scales off his level. He goes and gains 2 attack power per level. If you get him enough levels, he's going to go and he's not going to be Crystal Sword Cecil damage, but he's definitely going to go and be respectable melee damage when you're struggling to find things better than Dwarf Axes and Fire Swords.
Yeah, definitely. The one piece of equipment that Yang really loves early is a Cat Claw, which does show up a surprising amount of the time on this flag set.
Agreed. That Cat Claw giving 5 strength and 5 agility is very helpful, as is Kain getting the extra 10 strength from the Zeus Gauntlet. That is going to go and help a lot. And speaking of helping a lot, Tella, after doing ordeals, probably going to help this party a lot. That is a source of Berserk that doesn't take 2 minutes to get.
Yeah, Tella's a great find here. I love our resident old man Tella. Really a powerhouse in our last tournament, but even in this flag set, still comes with all of those utility spells once you've done ordeals, which both runners will have already done. Tella is a source of Blink, a source of Weak, which is good for certain grinds, and like you said earlier, of course, that source of Berserk that this party is really going to want quite soon.
Yeah, with that hook route, we're definitely going to enjoy Berserk. And Tella is naturally quite slow, which might sound like it's a bit of faint praise for Pella, but that's actually very helpful in Free Enterprise because the agility system, the ATB system in Final Fantasy IV works off of your character's agility. Okay, maybe we're going to do something different, as that's a Darkness Crystal.
How would you like much of the world open to you? Actually, no, this is so interesting. We have a hook and a Darkness Crystal. This is one of those spots where it's very interesting to go to the moon and try to take some cheeky moon bosses, especially with this Tella. If we have any source of stop, if we have an hourglass at all, which might be in that moon shop, there are either you can take gold dragons, if you'd also have to find sirens or take random encounters. What I'm trying to say here is that Darkness Crystal is very spicy.
Yes, that can go and open up a lot of experience. And depending on how you feel about the moon, you can just face check every single boss check on there and see if you can find the King Queen Evelyn spot, King Queen Evelyn fight, excuse me, because that's going to be a free fight no matter where you find them. If they have a whole bunch of stats, well, congratulations, King Queen Evelyn's still going to go and cast Fire 1 and Fire 2 at absolutely pathetic magic powers, and then eventually say, you know what, I think we're done here. We're going to turn in for the night and be done, because they are the freest of the free boss fights in this game.
Yep, not only free if found like that, also a good infusion of experience at most locations on the moon. Also, I actually completely forget what I was going to say. So I'm just going to say that Dia is making the play here to dive Baron Castle. Not interested in the moon quite yet. There is a character to be found here, which could still be a Fusoya. Like we said earlier, that character is very important to find because you don't want your opponent to find it before you. And we're going to get in this Kanatsu fight, and I don't think we're going to be here too long with our Black Mage able to kind of throw viruses.
No, I think this fight is going to go pretty quickly, as Tell is also going to throw out some stuff. But Dustygriff is finished with their deals. Dustygriff's main reason why he is not at the same point of Dia, he has done noticeably more looting. He has checked a lot more chests. He's got some good things for it. He got a Zeus Gauntlet on this very mountain, which is going to be very nice for him. But Dia is just showing, yeah, I'm going to charge through without much of anything because I can go and manage that. And is just, she's almost a full check ahead of Dustygriff at this point.
Yeah, that may even out a little bit later, because I would not be surprised if Dia does start doing some looting at some of the better locations. She could loot, for instance, Cave Bahamut. There are 4 chests that are high value there. Once we are underground, there's also the Fey March that has good chests to loot. So she may just be waiting for kind of a more convenient time to do that looting, where Dusty, I think, likely won't open those chests, because he's already done a lot of the looting he'd like to do. And Golbez taken over Baron Castle here.
Nothing likes to laugh at you more than Golbez, because he's kind of a jerk. What Golbez does is he's going to look at your party and says, hey, you have more than 2 characters alive. I'm going to try and fix that. Shadow, mealtime, let's go. Showdown, pick 2. Just pick as many of these suckers as you feel like until you chew down to just 2 of them left. Then I'll take on this mildly more fair fight.
Now, I saw Yang target Palom there. Didn't quite have the time, though, but what do you think Dia's thinking there?
Dia really wanted to go and get some people out of this. Dia didn't want Tella to go and survive. Well, she's being rewarded because Tella is not going to go and survive this. But if you control which characters are going to go and be alive, you can have a better chance of manipulating the fight in your favor, where you want Yang alive because Golbez is weak to fire and you got a Fire Claw. You want Kane alive because he does good damage. Both of these characters you want to use a Star Veil on, and Dia just got shot with it. Ooh, this is bad for Dia. Kane goes down from a virus. Yang does get a Star Veil off, so this is probably going to go and work out just fine for Dia, as that Lit 3 comes in and shows, yeah, this is just in time.
Getting that run buffer off, pretty huge here. Not really sure if she might have had time otherwise to get that Star Veil up, but this fight is free at this point, so big load off her mind there.
Yes, if we go 50 turns, or go a number of turns, that Star Veil might wear off, but Golbez has done enough damage himself where he's ready to be finished off, and then Yang does the punch and finishes him off, because that's how this fight goes. You can't go. Golbez will do damage himself, but you need to hit him to trigger the counter script that will go and get him to say, "Oh, I appear to be done for now."
He's just like, "Screw this, I'm out. Goodbye." And Betrayer staring down Betrayer here at Baron Inn as we find one of our duplicate characters this season, that Kane.
Because we do have distinct 10 on and there are 13 character slots, there will be 3 duplicates seen this seed. And we really would have preferred to see Fusoya, because Fusoya is can only show up in gated checks, and Fusoya gets access to some very helpful spells, including but not limited to Quake, or Berserk, Nuke. I'm sorry, was there a spell beyond Nuke? I kind of got stuck there.
That's really just Nuke. You just nuke everything.
You just put him in the mic. I mean, Quake shows up for those multi-enemy fights, but yes, this is still you put everything in the microwave. Hey, I'm Masamune for the other gated character, Edge. I'm sure we're not interested.
Yeah, Masamune is his best weapon. If we do find an Edge, I think Dia will be quite happy with that. Might let go of that Yang at that point, as Edge can really wear everything that Yang can that really matters in those elemental claws. But Dia making a kind of cheeky check here. She didn't pick up any of her characters, so I get a feeling this is really just a boss check, seeing who is on the Odin throne.
This is a check I like because sometimes you get something free here. That is not free. That is Rubicant. Rubicant is going to hurt there because that is a pretty high magic spot and a decently high physical spot. Not something you really feel like going and messing with.
Yeah, that is the opposite of free. Not something you want to deal with anytime soon. Now, this team eventually, with an Ice Claw or a Blizzard Spear, can Power Punch or jump and avoid the fire counter script, which would do quite a bit of damage over enough time. Or you can time your elemental spells really well and try to hit Ruby with his cloak open with Ice 2s or Ice 3s. So there is a way to get through it. It's just not anytime soon.
Yep. And Dia is, all right, she's satisfied. She's gone and checked all of the things that she wants to. She's finding this, going and checking the Mist Cave for that water hag, the waterfall for the officer-soldier fight. 2 rude fights, by the way, out of the pool for our runners to go and deal with in a more convenient fashion. And is now launching her hovercraft. Well, Dustygriff didn't get quite the same luck that Dia did on her Golbez fight, and is Yang and Tella alive for this fight. And Yang is going down. This might be a wipe for Dustygriff.
We see another run buffer here. Do we have time? Oh, yes, makes it. Tella gets that Star Veil off, and he also, just by the skin of his teeth, will get through this battle.
Yeah, that was close. That was very close. And Golbez is going to go and be doing a lot of damage to himself, and I think we're going to be waiting for Golbez to do a little bit more before Tella queues up something to just do a little bit of damage.
This is a good story retribution moment right here. Tella overcoming Golbez, as of course in the vanilla game, that is one of his major story arcs.
Yes, Dustygriff going in, proving Tella can take down the Golbez, no problem, no questions asked. Meanwhile, Dia is going and choosing to head straight into Eblan Cave, doing a bit more looting here and checking the shops. Probably wants to go and see what these shops have. Hourglass 2s and an exit. Not a bad find.
This is so interesting. Dia currently has no interest in that moon. I don't mind this play at all. If we see a boss that she feels that she can take at the Rubicant spot, she may just go for it. And the thing about the moon is that if the character is basically not Fusoya or Edge, or maybe Cecil, though I don't think we have a good weapon for Cecil at the moment, it's really kind of just a waste of time at the moment, especially if you're on the mindset. I
agree. It is definitely
of this flag set where going to the moon, it often doesn't have the value.
I agree. It's definitely something where if the character up there is not Fusoya or 1 or 2 other very powerful characters, it's not really going to hurt Dia. But if it is Fusoya, it's going to go and hurt Dia. But there's the Cecil. Cecil is not going to hurt Fusoya. Maga Sisters might, but Cecil is going to go and be fine for the team.
Yeah, and this is actually something I didn't even point out. This is yet another chance for Fusoya at this character check here, so that's quite important too.
Yep. But Cecil, I am more than happy to take the Cecil because cover is too good and X-Gal and Crystal Swords exist. But I'm curious how Dia feels.
Yeah, no surprise here. Getting rid of that Yang. Yang can shine on the in the right situation. And this one is really probably not it. And Dia exiting now. So this was a character check and a shop check. We'll see if she heads to the moon next. That's kind of where I imagine she's going.
I wonder if Dia finds Sirens on the moon, if she goes and takes a moon dragon fight to go and just power up this team quickly.
Yeah, that would be a great play to make.
Because she's got the 2 hourglasses.
Yeah, you take the hourglasses, you go either to Cave Value, I think that's the faster one, or you can go to, I believe, the third level of the Lunar Subterrane and use an hourglass. That will automatically give you the rarest encounter in that area. And for the two spots that I mentioned, those will be the two gold dragons who you can use an hourglass to stop them, and then Tala can cast Weak to get them down to single digit hit points, and then one punch or one hit will kill, and then you can even get a life glitch off and get a really good infusion of experience from that.
Yep. If you're feeling really spicy, you can go and queue up a tier 2 elemental spell with Palom, and then with a bit of correct timing, go and get 2 life glitches off, because that is a longer delay and you get a bit extra menu time, but you have yourself set up right, you'll go and be getting into the menu. You can go and queue up 1 life glitch, and it starts processing your turns to process Helm first, then you can throw the life glitch, and you should have enough time to get to another character's turn to throw a second life potion.
Yeah, and just to explain, while both of our characters are kind of like dueling lunar whales at the moment here, the life glitch is, for anyone that's not familiar, if you throw a life potion or life spell, life 1, at an enemy that's dying, the game will revive them, but due to either a bug or intentional programming, the life spell is based off of vitality. Essentially what happens is that the enemy would come back to life, but then it dies immediately, but you still get the experience for that. And that happens because life is based off of the vitality of the character. I believe it's vitality times 5 is the hit point value that you come back with. Same for characters and bosses or enemies, but all enemies in this game have a vitality of 0. So they come back with no hit points, and you really just get the experience from killing another one, essentially.
Yep, double experience and double money if that ends up mattering, as there might be some flags that's coming forward, as this is the last week of Swiss. We have Sell Quarter on for Swiss. Brackets, however, we have Sell 0 on. You get no money from selling anything, and if you want money, you have to go and earn it by combat.
Yep, and we see a Sid here at the Lunar Dais, probably not interested. We already have a decent anchor who also has a lot of utility. Sid is also a great anchor on this flag set and a great character a little bit earlier, but at this point, yeah, no interest.
Getting rid of him. I wouldn't... I'm not
Yeah,
surprised to see Dusty take.
Yeah, Dusty gets rid of Kane here. No, go ahead.
So the reason why Sid is really helpful here, Tella starts at about 8 agility, Sid starts at 9, but Sid can equip a Dwarf Axe. Sid is going to go and be able to get down to 4 agility, and that might make a big difference on that hook fight, where at 4 agility, as I mentioned, your speed is based off, the ATB calculations are based off your character, and for Enterprise, it defaults to your middle slot character. With 4 agility, the maximum anything can be faster than the middle slot character is 5 times. So it'll take 5 ticks of the ATB for the middle slot character to get their turn, no matter if they have 4 agility or if they have 40 agility.
Oh, we have found free at the K value here. These are the Dark Imps. Okay, this is free with restrictions. The restrictions are these Dark Imps are going to punch really hard. However, I believe if Dusty has hourglasses, they'll only get 3 punches off, and then they'll all be stopped. And either this will take some time to kill them, or if we have coffins, which I spotted at least one in Dusty's inventory, those will kill these Dark Imps, or one of the Dark Imps immediately. On the other side, we see Dia taking a really cheeky encounter in one of the Lunar Subterrane caverns, looking for this early experience.
Yep, and Dusty bought 4 coffins, so he is going to go and try and queue up all 3 coffins and just simply kill all of these Dark Imps. As he said, his battle speed down to 6.
Yeah, this is really clever doing this in this way. At battle speed 6, you know that the Dark Imps will probably not get an action. I'm really not sure if they would have gotten an action at all. It would be a little unfortunate if they happened to punch one of your coffin casters here, but nope, none of them get to take a turn. And we just get all this experience and a key item check.
Yes, that is something that's going to be pretty big for Dusty, as those Dark Imps are going to go and give about the same experience that Dia is getting from these hair dryers, but Dusty is through them already. Drain Spear is not the key item you want, but the extra experience means that you've got Quake on the kid. Maybe you go and take out those hair dryers anyways.
Yeah, the experience was really the value we gained along the way here. And I was thinking about that Sid. I think you're very right. The other thing that taking Sid enables here is that you have all that utility on Tella. Yes, his accuracy on certain spells is kind of bad, but having Sid in as the anchor allows you to use Tella as a berserk caster, where he'll be able to actually cast that spell much sooner than he would if he were the anchor character, because he would be acting the slowest in that case. So there's really a lot of utility in leaning on Tella as really as our white mage at the moment, and I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's going to go and open up options for Dustygriff, as just Tella's pretty slow. If you have an even slower anchor, Tella's going to be able to go and do a bit more. Dia, however, clearly demonstrating who is the anchor on her team, as she queues up first an attack on Tella to finish him off, and then works on just killing the last Jukli out with raw damage rather than weak, as Tella's MP is probably exhausted at this point.
Yeah, but we see the divergence in strategy on going to the moon here. Dusty was behind an entire check, and now they have really evened up. And honestly, I would say Dusty's a little ahead at the moment. So going to the cave value really did have a lot of value for him at the moment. He'll have more experience, I believe, from the encounter than Dia got here, though Dia also got a good infusion of experience. Probably got Quake on the Kid, so that's probably about as even as you're going to get. But Dusty already down in the cave here. I believe he didn't do this first.
Correct. Dusty did not go check the cave. Yeah, he doesn't have
hustle. Yeah. So that's also why he saved time there, because he'll only have to do this dive once, essentially. I imagine he'll just run in after getting the character.
Yep. And Dia going and did get a lot of levels on their Cecil, did go and get some extra levels on Palom. She might have gotten a bit more because she was getting extra life glitches off, while Dusty just drew 3 coffins and killed 3 dark imps. But she also got a Bahamut summon from that pickup, which is debatably helpful because Bahamut is only usable by Rydia, and this team already has some levels. I don't know if Dia is going to be terribly interested in getting more levels.
Yeah, we're kind of at the point where Rydia, the proposition of gaining Rydia is like, we already have our AoE with Quake. Bahamut is very strong. Let's not downplay that. Bahamut with even just a little bit, like a TR or something, can easily do 5,000 to 7,000 damage. It is literally an AoE nuke. Mm-hmm. Very strong, but we would have to find Rydia and have incentive to get her levels first.
I agree, and I think that is something we're not necessarily going to see. And Dusty did go and kill the 2 Stillman chests in here, which lets him open up all those chests, and did find a crystal ring and a Gungnir spear. That is going to go and be a bit helpful.
Yeah, a good piece of loot or a good weapon for Kayn, and the crystal ring has a good amount of utility. It has the agility on it, which is helpful for manipulating agility when you need it, and I also believe it has some resistances on it, right?
The crystal ring, yes, it does go and give resistance to dragon, and it's just an incredibly tanky piece of gear. Now Dusty gets the option of taking a Cecil, and is he going to go and keep the Young, or is he going to go and dim? Yep, he's getting rid of Young. Bye, Young. Never a question.
Not the seed for a punch mage today. Go ahead.
I was going to say, interesting that both runners going and choosing to dump Cecil, but Dusty went and chose to dump a Kayn as well for that Sid to go and anchor more aggressively with. Otherwise, that's the main difference between our runners. Dia has a Bahamut Orb. Dusty has, I didn't quite catch what was from the chest with the Staleman, but that's a thing.
Yeah, and that's a good point, actually, getting rid of... because he had the 2 Kayns. I see, yeah. So getting rid of 1 Kayn makes a lot of sense. Dia will probably eventually make that choice as well, I imagine, unless we find a lot of good loot. And we see our runners have really evened up here. Dusty choosing to loot on the way through this hook route, whereas Dia just kind of ran right through.
Yep. Oh, and Kayn has a Dragoon Spear from that encounter. That is going to be very nice for... words are hard. It's going to be very nice for Dusty, as that Dragoon Spear is one of Kayn's best weapons. It also does quadruple damage against dragons, which can be very helpful, as you see, we like to fight dragons for grinds.
You know what Quake is really effective at right now?
Killing multiple enemies?
Yes. And what do we got on screen at the moment here?
A baggage check. Dr. Luge is here to go and see, are you carrying too many things? Yes or no? Wait, no, that's what happens whenever you loot too much and find the inventory boss.
Really, Dr. Dialogue is here to say, ouch! Because that's what's going to happen here. This spot notoriously punchy, but with such a low... This spot has, I think, about 3,000 hit points, and it's, I believe, divided in between 4 different forms, so not a lot of hit points here. So a pretty nice and easy King and Queen boss fight.
Yeah, this is not the worst fight to find here because punches here are hard. There are a lot of mean hits here. But Dr. Luge's main shtick does not involve punching. Belknap will punch, but Belknap's going to punch Dr. Luge first, and I don't think we're going to see much out of either of them as the Quake goes and takes out Dr. Dialogue on Dustygriff's side, while Dia is going and getting started on the second phase of the fight, where Dr. Luge turns into a horrific machine and starts, showing why he's not really that liked by anyone.
Yep, and we see Dustygriff's anchoring here, putting the Palom up top, able to cast that Quake right away. We'll get through this fight a little bit faster, and we'll also have that Quake available immediately into the next fight against these Maga Sisters.
Yes, while Dia does have a rune axe on her Cecil, I do believe she specifically checked the shop and purchased a rune axe for her Cecil so that she could do the quadruple damage against mage-type enemies that it does.
Yep, and these are most certainly mages.
And I do not believe Dusty has the same rune axe because Dusty didn't know the boss fight coming in here and walked past without purchasing a rune axe.
Yeah, one of those moments where having that ahead of time information really helping Dia get through this fight faster. Very interesting. Just the very slight variations in routing here having real tangible effects.
Yes, and one of the things we also see, the difference in HP between certain characters. Palom on Dia's side has 590 HP, Palom on Dusty's has 559 HP, putting him a few levels lower, though. Looks like one shot from the front sister is still enough to take out Palom on either side, so those Quakes are going to be pretty important for Dusty, but less so important for Dia, as she does have the rune axe.
Yeah, definitely. And we see the runic axe making pretty good work of these Maga Sisters. They do have a good amount of hit points. This spot has 25,000 total, so it's divided by 3 amongst the sisters. Well, I think Cindy, the middle one, gets twice as much as the other two, but still, it'll take a little bit of time to kind of chew through them, but not very long. And we sort of see that both of their strategies here working out pretty well.
Yep, Dusty going in, spending some time to rearrange his inventory and queuing up a Cure 2 potion on the kid in the event that another hit comes out. Cindy not quite down, but... Oh, it looks like we queued up a cover on Palom from Cecil, but Dia is through this hook route, almost 40 minutes in, going to be getting to the underground. Dusty just behind her. Small variances in parties, small variance in loot, but nothing is for certain here, as both these runners are very good.
Yeah, that Cindy getting the revive off here is a little annoying because we just have to kill the two sisters again, and they get time to kind of go through their script, so it's a little bit annoying. But yeah, the middle sister goes down here. Dusty will be through this fight rather shortly. And I missed, who was the top of lower tower boss?
It is Baigen, the three-part enemy who has 1 body, 2 arms, and a lot of pain coming out of him, because any physical punching spot he's really scary to deal with, because he's going to hit you multiple times anytime his turn comes up, and he's going to get a lot of them because he's usually in a fast spot. Quake is a great way of dealing with him, but he'll keep reviving his arms, so he is a rather annoying encounter to deal with.
Yeah, not the freest of fights there. He will punch pretty hard, and all 3 forms can punch. The Quake will be pretty good there. I think if you're anchored pretty well, I don't know, not that if you're anchored pretty well, but there are situations where you can kind of lock Baigen out of taking a lot of actions because you Quake the arms away and then Baigen revives the arm, and then you just kind of go through that shtick. like repeatedly. I don't know if that's one of those spots where that'll work very well, but having access to AoE magic definitely helpful, especially since if you rely on Zerkers, your Zerkers might just kill the arms over and over and over again, which gets really annoying.
Yes, it's a very nice thing to have Quake, because if you can go and keep those arms from coming back and taking hits from your Zerkers, you can go and keep things going. Dia going and checking the dwarf shop, discovering that they sell sorcerer robes, but I think Dia was looking for a different piece of equipment.
And I believe Dia has found sirens here.
Sirens could be very helpful, though Dia does not have the Dragoon Spear Dustygriff has, and the major grind fights, both the Yellow Dragon Eggs underground and the Gold Dragons on the moon are vulnerable to that Dragoon Spear.
Yep, the Dragoon Spear is quite a boon there because you can just essentially hold A against the eggs and against the Gold Dragons. The Gold Dragons aren't quite as bad because they both have Tela that can cast Weak on them, but it's more convenient to just sort of berserk Kain and let him essentially two-shot those Gold Dragons.
Yep. Or if you have sufficient money, just take on the Dragon Eggs and one-shot them with Kain. That is a big advantage if you have a Dragoon Spear enough for a weapon to do just a bit over 1900 damage to those.
Okay, can we talk about how the seed so far is ouch percent? Karate, of course, saying ouch. This is a scripted fight in the Baron Inn. I don't know if they just expected it to be sort of difficult, but then you can get through it quickly. I'm not sure what like the design intent with that fight was, but essentially you have Cecil in your party. You're fighting Karate, who is brainwashed by presumably what you know is Golbez at that point in the story. And then one attack against him after he's done 2 kicks will kind of get him out of the fight scripted.
Yep. And we do see a second duplicate here. Hallam is our second duplicate character who is getting dismissed because we already have a Palom with Quake, and second Palom without Quake isn't terribly interesting to Dia. Meanwhile, Dustygriff is going to the bottom of the Feymarch and did get a power shirt from the first check of the Sylphs with using that pan.
Power shirt to go with that Zeus gauntlet is very nice, and that glass helmet is also a really good pickup. We have Cecil in our party. Cecil can wear that and sit in the back row and essentially take no damage and cover all of our party members. Or you could put that glass hat on a Palom or a Tela and actually help them make sure that they survive certain encounters. So it's not a key item at the Feymarch, but it's still an item I'm happy to see.
Yeah, there are worse items to see. I am not terribly upset to go and see that glass hat around with a Cecil in my party, and if I feel like doing Feymarch, it's a bit easier now, as cover strats are really helpful in the Feymarch. Everyone's already at low HP. Okay, no longer at low HP because Dusty's in a cabin, but definitely something nice to see. And answer a question from chat that Invenerable has pointed out, why did Dia go to Dwarf Castle first rather than going and checking her free key items? You're very unlikely to be able to go and get Go Mode off these key items. You're not unlikely to go and get Fusoya from Dwarf Castle, as it is another gated character check, and Fusoya is very strong.
Yep, pretty much keying off of what we were saying earlier, you really don't want to be the person that finds Fusoya last in this flag set. So any chance that you go to get, that you can kind of find him immediately, I think Dia's really prioritized that. And a lot of runners that I've watched this flag set, as it's sort of emerged and a meta has sort of formed, that Dwarf Castle check. I mean, not only is it just a character check, it's 2 boss checks, it's that chance at Fusoya. I mean, like we've already said, essentially, but it's definitely a common thing I've seen on this flag set.
I agree, and Dusty is finding that there are sirens for sale in Dwarf Castle. It is probably going to be selling as selling a heroine robe as well. I don't think we don't have anyone in the party who can use them, but Dusty wants 10 sirens and has purchased 10 sirens.
Yeah, no, the only character that we could have had so far is that poor. I mean, neither runner, understandably so, was interested in going through a long cutscene to get a white mage. So,
yeah, I don't think our other runners are feeling cheeky enough to want to go and, I'll just simply go and check the package, and if I can find King Queen Evelyn there, that'll give me an advantage. I don't think either runners are interested in taking a long shot play like that against their opponent.
what kind of wine do you suppose the Feymarch makes? As Dia just found Bacchus wines down here.
I mean, I don't know, but I imagine the residents are a bit angry when it runs out.
A tracker saying a nice rosé. I mean, I could go for a nice rosé myself, so I'll accept that. Meanwhile, finding a Valvalis and Ashura, a vanilla Ashura, by the way, don't want to do that right now.
Yeah, and instead Dia's choosing to go and run straight down to check her pan because she's interested in going holding out for a bit, but not interested in holding out for too long. As actually, I do believe, forgive me if I'm mistaken, if Tella was in the bed, that would be the third duplicate for the seed, where we've found 2 Canes, 2 Palums, and 2 Tellas. That will be all of the duplicates. We would then only be finding new characters after that point.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Who were our starting characters again?
They were Young and they were Palom. We found Kane was on Hobbs. We found a Cecil in the Hook Route. Tella was in Baron Inn. Sid was on the Moon. So yes, we have found all duplicate characters. Anyone remaining is guaranteed to be fresh. And of the character checks we have left, Earth Crystal's the main one that we'd be terribly interested in doing, I expect, because we've done Baron Castle, we've done the Hook Route, we've checked the Lunar Gias, checked the package. There's another character behind the Darkness Crystal in the form of completing the Giant, but I don't think either run is interested.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe in this seed, there's a world where you take a very cheeky early, D-Machine grind. It was technically available, but again, like we said, that Vanilla Giant not allowing you to get back off without completing that ride, very unlikely. So we're definitely not going to see that character, but if an Earth Crystal shows up very soon, that's pretty good shots at either an Edge or a Fusoya.
I agree, and we see Sand Ruby for Dia and a white shirt. So Pan's a key item, which goes and brings us 1 key item closer to the vaunted 10 key item, where you get double X bonus. Dia is at 7 key items now, while Dusty is going to be getting to 7 key items when he turns in that Pan check, but instead going to Luca Cave to check that first.
Sheila saying, here's a Sand Ruby and a free t-shirt to go with it. Make sure to give this to Rosa.
Hora might be the only white shirt rose user in the sea. Well, okay, Tella and Cecil can both wear them as well, but Hora might be the only functional white mage in the seed with only 10 distinct characters. We've seen most of them. We've only got 3 checks. We've only got 3 characters left as Horum's in the seed, Palm's in the seed, Cecil's in the seed, Kane, Tella, Sid, and Yang. We haven't seen Edward, we haven't seen Edge, we haven't seen Rosa, we haven't seen Fusoya, and we haven't seen one last character that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I can't think of who it is at the moment. Dia, yes, Radio. Oh, we were just talking about dragons. Right, Radio.
Yeah.
Dia going ahead and making that check on the Sand Ruby. Had not done that before. Saw that there was another old man sleeping in bed, but not the old man we were looking for. Resets out of that. Meanwhile, Dustygriff making a very interesting play, going to the sealed cave. Now, this is a check that is one that usually gets put off for a while because it's a long slog to walk all the way down. You do get to see the key item right away, and it is a boss. So if we don't like the key item here, Dusty is still going to check the boss because we're still looking for King and Queen Eblin. Finding a pass, that's interesting. I suspect Dusty doesn't keep that. It depends on the boss here. But if we do keep this, you kind of have to warp your way out. So it just ends up being a very long check.
And
finding Odin.
Dusty
looks like he's interested in this.
Appears to be taking the fight, which is interesting. This is going to hurt if Odin gets off his Intetsuken. And Odin's already punched 2 times. There's the 3rd punch. He's going to throw at his Intetsuken, and that is based on magic power, which is very high here and is going to hurt.
Yeah, we see Cecil doing a cover immediately onto Tella. I'm not sure if the cover will go off while Cecil is on critical hit points. You can correct me if that'll happen in a moment. But Tella wants to get off. Oh, he's not able to cover. Oh, that's unfortunate. Tella has that Lit 3, which he's not got a lot of magic power on him, but that Lit 3 still does a crap ton of damage to Odin. I'm not sure that we can get through this fight now. Maybe if Kane gets to jump in time and miss that Zentetsuken essentially, which we've got good timing here. Odin goes off, Kane is up in the air. Kane is back down now. We'll see what Dusty does here.
Yeah, this is Dusty seems to be going for the timing and does not get it this time. I don't know
Oh,
if Dusty's going to
just
keep it.
misses it. Oh, just misses it. I get a feeling that Dusty's like, nope, I'm done. Yep, moving on. And Dia, in the meanwhile, did take on that Rubicant while we were observing Dusty there. At least I was. My eyes were like laser focused on that. Finding a pink tail, that is an objective found for Dia at the Barren basement.
Yep, she made good use of an ice brand, going put a power shot on Kane to go and just get extraordinary amounts of damage and rip through Rubicant's health there, while Dusty is now leaving the underground and checking Pan. Dusty has knowledge of Luca. Dia has that Barren basement up and these two Pan turn-ins that Dusty's doing now. Where Dia goes is looks like she is heading she's heading to go and get her hovercraft to go and turn in the pink tail to get an objective lit up, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you want to turn in this pink tail right away. You have Cecil and Party. That pink tail could be a crystal sword. Crystal sword, also a nuke, basically. Mm-hmm. Every swing of the crystal sword, it being the best weapon in the game, with an incredible amount of attack power and a crap ton of stats on it. So we'll see what the pink tail has for us today.
Yeah, it's definitely something you don't want to lean on. Also, an Avenger would be a great pickup, and it's a crystal sword.
And there it is. There's the crystal sword. Oh my gosh, this is huge. If Dusty doesn't go to that Barren throne like immediately, Dia is going to have quite an... it's what I was saying earlier about that Fusoya. It's that huge infusion of power. And the first runner that finds it, these two elites in this game here are going to make such efficient use out of what they find here. I hope Dusty is headed. Yeah, I see him saving at Barren here. I think Dusty is going to make that play and find his own crystal sword also. But Dia at the moment is ahead if she does not go check the Luca cave.
And she is instead going to Feymarch, where I do believe we saw a Ashura and a Valvalis down there. I don't think we're going to go and see much else other than Cecil go burr with a crystal sword.
Yep, we do not have the power couple secured. We don't have the Rosa, but Tella will do a good enough job at the moment of berserking our Cecil and letting him just cut everything to pieces.
Yeah, there's the crystal sword. You give it to the Cecil. You go and... So one thing I think Dusty might have that Dia does not is I think Dusty might have an Aegis shield, which... I have said this a lot. It is a very unique shield because it goes and gives mage resistance, which is sometimes rather difficult to get for your melee fighters. The only other item that your melee fighters can wear that gives it is a ribbon, with the exception of people who can wear rune rings. But if you want to go and have Cecil do a lot of work, you put him in the back row with an Aegis shield, and Ashura is going to struggle to do damage against him.
Yep, that'll be very useful for Dusty once he picks up his crystal sword after he's done with this encounter. I do want to call out something chat pointed out, a restreamer actually. If Dia goes to the sealed cave, even at this point probably, or a little bit later, will more likely be able to get through that Odin encounter, and we'll have the pass, which Dusty has opted not to take, and there's no way Dusty is going back there again this seed. So that may end up being a point of advantage for Dia moving forward also.
Yeah, it's about as much time to go and walk out of Sealed Cave as it is to rewalk the moon, but spending time to get the pass is definitely not worth it. We do see Dustygriff is getting his pink tail. It's just Rubicant is going to go and get that crystal sword, and is going to go and start. Not going to be losing ground to Dia, but where he goes next is going to be pretty important, as we have Dia facing off against Ashura, and Kane is going and hitting some big jumps with that rune axe, doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, there is a huge decision point to make here. This is the point where you decide, I am going to the Feymarch and I'm fully committing to Earth, or I'm just going to head to the moon immediately. There's a greater density of checks there. I have a crystal sword. I have access to a grind. I can get through those fights really with not a lot of trouble. It's a very critical moment here in this match, what Dusty chooses to do here, and what Dia gets as a reward from this alternate power couple Feymarch in the Ashura and... oh my god, my brain deleted the other character. Who's the other boss here? Val, thank you. There, I did it. The power couple in Val and Ashura.
Yeah, another thing actually I mentioned is why I hype up the Aegis Shield so much as I keep going back to it. Aegis Shield also protects against gradual petrification, which means if you have Cecil with a Moon Veil and an Aegis Shield and a Bacchus Wine, Val is never going to be able to kill Cecil because he can't hit. Because if you use a Moon Veil, you have perfect defense, which means every physical hit misses. When Val's spinning his tornado, she does 3 things. She casts Weak, she casts Ray, and she punches. Well, she casts Punch. She tries to punch you. Moon Veil protects against that damage, so Weak is effectively nothing. The Aegis Shield protects against Ray, which is gradual petrification. And that makes Cecil invulnerable. If you just go and drink a Bacchus Wine, it'll take a few turns, but you'll get through it.
Yep, and we'll see how Dia ends up choosing to deal with Ashura, as I imagine, or with Val, as I imagine that's what she's going to do next here. But just finding a Protect Ring from that Ashura, it's a good piece of equipment. It has quite a bit of magic defensive power, but not progression, not what you want to see here.
No, you would much rather find something different on that spot. And Dusty has gotten their crystal sword while Dia is doing a bit of equipment adjustment, and I think we're going to see Dia go into that Valvalis fight.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that Dusty was able to pick up that crystal sword at the point that he did, because I think if the seed had gone on any longer, if he chose to go in any different way, like maybe he goes to the moon instead, though I get a feeling most runners would not skip that Odin throne. But I'm just glad that he's got that crystal sword. And Dusty making the choice that I was talking about here, says, you know what, I don't want to touch that Fey March. There's greater density on the moon. Let's head straight there.
That doesn't surprise me, as Fey March not always known for paying off, as well, we saw the protecting from Ashura. This Val is going to take a bit of time. Crystal Sword Cecil's going to be able to take care of it, but it might take a minute. And hey, look, Weak and then Ray on Cecil. That's really cute, Val.
And without that equipment you were talking about, Dia does not have a free fight here. She will need to spend time either blinking or curing Cecil up, and even casting heal on him if enough petrification sort of builds up on him. Yeah, and Val punching Cecil here, really not cooperating.
Val is just like, hey, I know who the threat is. It's the guy with the crystal sword and 200 attack power. Let's kill him.
Yeah, really unfortunate. We'll see once we pick Cecil up here how it'll go. And I just want to go back to that point about Moon versus Fey March. Both decisions are very valid, I think. The Fey March is known, it is a... So on this flag set we have, or in Free Enterprise in general, we have K Main, K Moon, and K Summon. The way that the distribution works and the math that I'm not exactly sure about, the Moon and Summon bosses have slightly less chance at key items, and the 2 Fey March fights are summon fights, so they're under K Summon. So they're pretty known for often not having a lot on them. But on the Moon, it's the same thing really. It's Moon bosses, and K Value has a summon boss. So really either choice is very defensible here. And Dia having a really hard time with this Val fight.
Val is not playing nice. Val has hit everyone except for Tella, which is kind of impressive to be entire. Okay, now Tella's gotten his share of damage.
She heard you.
Yeah, Val is deciding that, yes, I would like to go improve I am a mystery boss. I'd like to go and wipe your team. And it wouldn't even been that bad if it was just slightly different order on punches. The Weak, Ray, and then punch on Cecil early on as you try and go and do anything with him. It's going and slowing down Dia, but she is still making progress into this fight.
Yeah, once you lose momentum like that, it's really unfortunate to see, because trying to pick back up, and it looks like we're still on battle speed 1, I'm guessing, maybe like 3 at most, because Val seems to be acting pretty fast. It just becomes sort of an uphill battle that we see here to kind of get things rolling again. Cecil is at least back up and is blinked, but like that petrification could take him out, and if Val punches Kane here, we're really in trouble.
Yes, we're just relying on things going and being finished quickly, as Dusty's finding a pretty safe fight
just in time.
Dusty finds a safe fight of the dolls. We're able to hourglass and then take them out at his leisure, while Dia just finishes Valvalis and is getting Hanzo Steel.
Oh no, just a ninja sword. for a ninja that we don't even have. Oh, that feels awful. Very, very well done with those fights, but just not paying off.
Yep, and Dusty's not going to go and get full experience from the ribbon spot, as these dolls are going to go and split the experience, but Dia is choosing to say, all right, we're done with the Earth, we're going out of here, and not even checking Sealed Cave, which we know, going to this town first might need to stack up on life potions, while Dusty is going and hitting this first fight on the moon.
And actually, chat brings out a good point. Both of our runners have faded Top of Tower here. Top of Tower is a bit of a longer check, as you have to sort of run up to it, but would not be difficult at this point. And Dustygriff finding the Legend Sword in the Ribbon Room, that is half of an objective. That's big. Going back to the point about the tower play, the Top of Tower is a K main spot, so it has a pretty good chance of having a key item, but I can't understand fading it.
Yeah, it's a long walk up, you can't exit out, so if it is something you have to walk all the way out, can't even warp inside of it. And Dustygriff is finding the Alt Gauntlet and is fighting it. Might be feeling, you know what, I need experience, so let's just take this. But Dusty is one...
Grind secured. Go ahead.
Well, Dusty is 1 key item shy of 10 key items, so isn't going to get double experience from this, but I don't think this is the amazing fight that you can get on the moon.
Is this the one where triggers are in it?
It very well might be. Going and burning some of the extra hourglasses he's picked up because he doesn't want to go and get those entangle counters which cast hold on your party.
Chat confirming that yes, Trigger is a part of this this encounter. Essentially free, but you know, you should cast Lit on Trigger is what I'm saying. It's a fun time.
Yes, you should definitely load up a seed and fight a Trigger after you have saved.
Yes, after you have saved. you are kinder than I am.
Look, the walk is kind of annoying, and well, Tricker's a thing, and Dia is going to these Dark Imps that Dusty took out some time ago that only gave a Drain Spear, while Dusty is continuing to make forward progress in this fight and has got a double fight to go and get some good experience on.
Yeah, and Dia isn't even going to get through this fight faster because Dusty was able to go to battle speed 6 and just throw 3 coffins. This is actually going to take a little bit more time for Dia. She is weakening with Tala. Now, this says to me that she wants to do life glitches, which will be a good infusion of experience that didn't get. And I think Pelham, yeah, queued that ice too. Unfortunately, the timing, really unfortunate there. The first life was too early, and then a character didn't get in the queue. Oh, okay, one character did get a life 2 off there. Or
yeah,
a life 1 off there.
I think what happened there was all the actions were queued to go off at the same time, but because of Dia's party order, Hallam queued up the Ice 2, Top Kane got his turn, then second from the Top Kane got their turn, and when that happens, the way the order resolves is middle character, top middle, bottom middle. So it resolved Kane, Hallam, Kane, when Dia wanted Hallam, Kane, Kane.
I see. Yeah, this game with its ATB system and the sort of ordering of party members and whatnot, still quite tricky.
And there's Trigger making their appearance, going and showing up. Would you like a mystery seed? Cast it 3, you'll get a great one.
Yep, and with the Trigger on screen, I will give a shout out to Zoe Vermillion, our resident bot creator, who made our Trigger Discord, where if you are interested in a mystery flag set where you do not know what you're running into, a Trigger bot can roll a seed for you. You can see the weights of the seeds that you roll, so you can kind of get an idea of how rough it's going to be. But definitely a fun time if you're interested.
Yep. Dustygriff pulling a blank on that Alt Gauntlet, only getting a Stardust Rod. Nice for Talon if you want to increase his white magic, or Palom, excuse me, if you want to increase his black magic stat, but not what you're looking for after all that investment.
No, a Stardust Rod is not the reward you want after spending all that time at the Alt Gauntlet, for sure. Probably a little frustrated about that, but it's just going to soldier on and probably see what is at the Pogo altar, one of the more difficult encounters in the game, potentially.
Yes, this spot has both high magic and high physical attack because Ogopogo is an incredible jerk. If you find him in most spots, he's an incredible jerk, and you're really relieved when you find him in a spot with 400 HP because you can probably kill him before he gets to be an incredible jerk to you.
Yes, this spot has both brutal magic attack power and a high enough physical attack power that's quite difficult. However, finding D-Lunars here is not bad. They will punch kind of hard, but so long as you don't physically attack or use the fight command on these enemies, they have a reaction where they will wall up and then start reflecting viruses, which would do an insane amount of damage here. However, Kane able to do quite a bit of damage. That looks like maybe a white spear, I'm guessing. Is equipped onto him.
Spear.
Oh, it's a
White
dragoon spear.
spear.
Oh, these are dragons. That's right. These are dragons.
Yes, the white spear also would not do bonus damage against D-Lunars because the D-Lunars aren't weak to holy. They're just undead.
Oh, this game sometimes.
However, Crystal Sword does quadruple damage to undead.
Yeah, and essentially once they're low enough, there's really no fear if you want to punch, or you can just essentially keep jumping with Kane. And anyways, long story short here, this is probably one of the kinder encounters we could have found at this location.
It could have been worse. The Kane getting breath is actually rather unpleasant because I don't know if Dusty has any heal potions. So Kane's not going to be able to go and help out much more of this fight.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is a bit unfortunate. Palom and Cecil were both able to dodge that breath attack. I imagine Dusty knew his equipment loadout because you could have queued up Star Veils there to reflect and not be affected by that. Not only just not be affected by the breath attack, and finding a spoon here, also not what you really want. It is a 10th key item now, I believe, so that's good. But anyways, the breath attack would be avoided by having a Star Veil up, and when reflected, can turn those dragons into cute little frogs, making the fight a lot easier.
Yep, and now we see Dustygriff is going in, has a bit of a lead over Dia at this point, has gone and used that, cleared out 3 of these moon fights as Dia is just getting in there, giving 2 Feymarch fights. Definitely has a bit of a level advantage over Dia now, as that Dia had early on, but Dia's in a position to start catching up. Neither runner has an objective over the other, and Dia's about to get the Legend Sword that Dusty has.
Yep, Dusty a good 2 checks ahead of Dia, including an alt gauntlet. Now, Dia may see that alt gauntlet and say, nah, I want nothing to do with this. And if she does, it will be, from our perspective, the right play. She won't know that, but it will be the right play. It's one of the ways that she could make up time, even though she will be down in experience. And we see Dusty popping a siren here. This makes sense to me. We have 10 key items. Let's just get our grind over with right now. This is one of the last fights in the moon we're going to want to deal with. There is the top of moon still. I don't think we've gone to the Murasame altar.
That is
Dusty
correct.
just wants to get that grind out of the way.
Yep, want to get the grind out of the way. And looking at this team, you have Cecil, Kane, Sid, Palom, and Tella. One of those characters can cast a Cure spell above Cure 2. That character is not very likely to survive a Big Bang, nor do much of anything with the 2 Cure 4s they can cast, so I have a suspicion Dustygriff is going to want to go and get Nuke on Palom and just rely on power overwhelming strategies for Zeromus.
Yeah, that is a really good point to make here. We do not have really a reliable white mage on this team for the Z fight, and Dusty has said before that he really likes to think many steps ahead and is already thinking of that Z fight at the moment, and really any good runner would be. But I think that's a really good observation there. Like I said, much earlier in this race, neither of these runners would be doing much shopping, and I'm not sure if we've seen Cure 3s, which Sid would be a very good chemist to use those Cure 3s, but without them healing through the Zeromus fight could be very tricky.
Yep. Though, if you do enough damage and just push out enough damage fast enough, which this team go and get Nuke on Palom and just equip up that Cecil and Kane, they're going to be able to do pretty good damage. Dustygriff stopping at level 50 on Palom, he's just learned Meteo. Close to Nuke, but not going all the way. Probably going to rely on these last fights on the moon to get Palom to Nuke, while Dia is going into the D-Lunar fight.
Yep. So Dia, I didn't catch if she saw the. I didn't catch if she words. I didn't catch if she saw the alt gauntlet fight, but clearly reset out of it if she saw it. So it's good to see her in the D-Learners now. That'll help her catch up. And finding a Leviathan here at the Crystal Altar, this is essentially free. It has really pathetic magic attack power because normally Wyvern is here, which casts Mega Nuke, and Mega Nuke is kind of intended to be survivable in the vanilla game. So yeah, we see Ice 2 doing 500 damage. It's really not concerning. So Dusty will get this through this pretty easily.
Yep, going and queued up a Lit 3 on the kid, going to go and Zerk up Cecil, going to go and jump with Kane. Not really going to be too worried about the damage from this spot as, yeah, 7,000 damage from Cecil, that's kind of a big deal. Meanwhile, we do see Dia setting up for Reflect Frog strats and only getting the first frog. This is actually not so great for Dia, as if she wants to go and beat them, she's going to go and have the back D-Lunar going and trying to virus the front one, not succeeding, but curious as to how this is going to go.
Yeah, this is very annoying. You have to kill the back D-Lunar now, and if you can take care of that back D-Lunar, actually, oh, this is clever. Making use of the virus counter script, knowing that the front frog will not have a wall in it, and they like to bounce the viruses off of each other. So really taking actually advantage of the situation. This is very clever.
Yep. And we do see that back one's down, so just down to the front one, though. Dustygriff is already through with that Crystal Sword Altar fight, though that Leviathan, as Dia is just about to finish up these D-Lunars, get their 10th key item.
I missed it. What was the item from the Leviathan fight?
What's better than first Dragon God? Second Dragon God! It's another Bahamut summon for the Rydia we have not seen.
Everything's coming up dragons, Baka. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, it does feel like the seed's dragging on a bit, but I think that might not be the point.
I'm sure Dusty wishes that he could breathe fire all over the seed and burn it to the ground, but instead we'll have to settle for checking the Murasame altar and hoping to find progression of any sort at this moment.
Yep. Meanwhile, Dia is going and heading over to that altar. I'm curious if Dia is going to do any grinding like Dusty did, or if it's going to be content with the levels that she has, because that's going to be Dusty's biggest advantage at this point. Is Dusty's almost level 52 on Palom. That's Nuke. Very high-powered team. And this is a free fight.
Yep, put up an hourglass. Talo when you get back to him. Actually, no. Never mind. Palom has all the black magic spells. Stone from Palom will just one-shot these. Yep, easy peasy.
And this, unless I'm not mistaken, is going to go and give Palom Nuke.
No, Palom already had that nuke.
Oh, excuse me. Must have gotten from there. There's the Earth Crystal. Do you want stuff? I don't know if Dusty cares about stuff at the moment, but he might care about going and checking that key item, as that's the only chain from the moon that we've gotten.
Fade that treasury. That's what's going to happen.
I have a suspicion. Though maybe Dusty takes it when he's going to the Zoromas fight if he wants to go and get some extra oomph. Again, we don't have a white mage, so you might want to go and try and spike a bit extra.
Yeah, Dusty does have a power shirt and a Zeus gauntlet and a crystal sword, which is essentially going to punch as hard as a nuke, if not harder, and a nuke kid. I do think that death of the final boss is a very good white mage at this moment. But we'll see if he chooses to loot that or not. However, what I was saying earlier about the fact that Zot has two characters that we for sure haven't seen, we're at the point where we don't care about them anymore.
There is one character we still care about, I think.
That's true, actually.
All the characters in the game going, they come at a level they join at. Most characters join at level 10, some join at level 1, level 5, level 20, level 25, and then one character joins at level 50. If you've played this game, you know that character is Fusoya, the Uncle Mop, the man from the moon, who comes with every single spell in the game. And one of the flags we have turned on goes and means that he doesn't get to come with all the spells that the seed starts off, but at this point, he's going to have all the spells, and he would be a white mage for this team that Dustygriff, I imagine, would be very happy to take.
Yeah, he would be a great white mage for this party right now. You are not wrong about that. And Dusty making the play, fading the treasury, heading to Zot. This makes a lot of sense. You found an Earth Crystal. You want to chase the chains that you find this late in the game. Knows that the top of tower is in the back of his mind. Does not know if Dia made that check or not, but we'll see what happens here at Zot.
There's also 2 boss checks here, as we still want to find King Queen Evelyn. This is not King Queen Evelyn.
No, this is a Sparkle. This is either Ogopogo or Plague. Okay, we're at Plague.
A plague on the fact that you're going to go and be facing a Palom who is backed by nuclear power.
Yeah, I'm sure Dusty is really counting on Zot being a good play here.
I imagine Dusty might not feel great about the moon turning up just the Legend Sword and an Earth Crystal, because that would seem like I faded the Fey March, I faded top of Lower Babel. One of those could have go mode. Dia might also be going to be worried a bit about Sealed Cave, as he's faded that. She hasn't gone and checked to see, yeah, it's the pass all right.
And Dusty finding a white mage in this seed. However, while I love Rosa, it's a bit too late for her. We'll see who the second character is. And it is that our resident mop. We have found a Fusoya. We have secured a white mage, and another nuke caster in the fight. That's a really good find here.
Yep, I don't think we're going to worry about picking up any other characters, as yeah, there we go and add Fusoya to the party. Sid's already on the team. And Dusty is going to go and see, is King Queen Evelyn here, or are we going to that tower after this? King Queen Evelyn aren't here.
Okay, so this is the Dark Knight. Now this play could still have the, actually a number of things. It could have the Rat Tail, it could have the Tower Key, or it could just have the Twin Harp.
And the Twin Harp would be pretty nice if it was Twin Harp into either King Queen Evelyn or the Adamant. That would go and help our runner's ass. We're running out of places to check stuff.
Yeah, and now we know that the King and Queen Evelyn have to be either behind the cannon room, or behind the harp, or on the giant, or I guess at the back of package also.
Yes. That normally I'd say, man, that'd be a bit of a terrifying moment going discovering that the boss is at the back of the package, but honestly, I don't strike either of these runners worrying about the other picking up them. It's the magma key. The moon is nothing but a legend sword. Top of tower leads to the Twin Harp, the Tower Key, and the Rat Tail.
All right, so both of our runners are going to feel behind after this play. You ran to the moon, they've both faded chucks, and it came up with nothing. And Dusty headed immediately, looks like to the Fey March.
Dusty hasn't done the Fey March, 2 checks to 1, makes sense. Gonna give Dia a bit of time, as Dia might just leave that Luca key for a while longer.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier about just following the chains that you find, Dia heading immediately to Zot, for the same reason, really. You found this, after going through all of the moon, you found this party rock. You want to make use of it.
There's one more check we haven't found. We still have D-Mist out there. We know that it's not anywhere on Earth ungated. It could be on the Giant.
That would be reminiscent of a race I might have had earlier on in this flag set. I hope for our runners it's not there. It is, of course, very amusing for us if we find it.
If D-Mist and D-Mist and King Queen Evelyn are on the Giant, or even worse, D-Mist on the Giant and King Queen Evelyn's at the check gated by it, that is hilarious and rude for us. For the runners, it's just rude.
But while our runners are crossing paths with each other, I do want to make sure we get a moment to shout out our restream team. We have Moonblaze Wolf doing the restreaming goodness and beaming to your eyeballs this exciting match. We have Alicel doing our tracking, and the wonderful Bakusho Nobi with me doing commentary.
And thank you for joining me, Solaris. This has been a great fun time, as the seed has just really loved to go back and forth, runners crisscrossing each other, being an amazing race in general. And I am happy to be commentating with you.
Yeah, it's been so fun so far. I love you see the slight variation in routing with these two. They're sort of like DNA stranding between each other, and both of them are making the plays that make, I think, the most sense for them, with just slight variation. And I don't know, it's just really interesting.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely small differences in style are going and showing here, as we see Dustygriff is going and ripping through the Zashura with a Crystal Sword Cecil, not relying on the weakness, and instead just relying on power overwhelming. And Dia does go and get rid of Palom, which makes plenty of sense for Dia, as one, she's kept her Tella very dead the whole seed, so Tella is still a fine anchor, and two, she did not get the levels that Dusty did. Dusty is noticeably higher level than Dia, and if Fusoya didn't show up, Dusty would have had a much more secured Z fight, while Dia, probably in a very good position right now, just on the back of that Fusoya, going to be able to go and rely on Crystal Sword, Cecil, and Kane to do a fair amount of work.
Yeah, Dia getting somewhat bailed out here because Dia does love to take aggressive fights, so I would not be surprised at all if she took on Z with the party that she had and really rocked it. But finding that Fusui, you're right, it's that access to a good health pool and that Cure 4 will really just make that fight much safer.
Yeah, this is... Dia could very much well win with the party she had without grinding, but she can definitely win faster with Fusoya.
Yeah, exactly, and it's much safer. Z, while Z is very controllable, can still be surprisingly rude.
Yep. Speaking of surprisingly rude, Valvala is going and showing off why we don't really like her too much. If you break her spin, instead of going and just simply doing a set script of punch and weak and whatnot, she punches more, but she does lose evade multipliers, which lets your team do more damage, and Dustygriff is going to get the news that it wasn't Feymarch.
Yeah, but at least Dusty is able to get through this faster. He has more levels, and he has that Aegis shield that you were talking about, so wasn't really at risk of losing to a petrification situation. Yeah, we see Dia heading now to the sealed cave. It'll be interesting to see if she wants to keep that pass and walk it out, or just fade it entirely.
Dia might be more inclined, as she is going to have a much easier time of just ripping through the boss and warping out, and will spend less time killing the boss and warping out than she probably would walking through the lunar subterranean. But it is going to be very close, as Dusty is now going to the tower and is going to get the news, or just tell us, is this where progression is, or are we going to the giant?
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to say a question in chat about this game. While we have a little bit of time, because our runners, Dusty is heading to the top of tower. We'll see what's there for him. But yeah, this is Final Fantasy IV Randomizer. This is the vanilla game that you know and love, but it's open world immediately. You get an airship, and everything is randomized. The characters are randomized where they would be at. The bosses are randomized. The treasures are randomized. And there are a ton of flags that can be set on this randomizer to change the difficulty and your experience. And if you're interested in playing this, a link was posted in chat. It is ff4fe.com, and you can find the way to make your flags. And so long as you have the ROM for this, you can go ahead and patch your game. You know, if you already own it, then with the ROM, you can patch your game and go ahead and play along with us. We also have a Discord that you can find a link on that website, again, ff4fe.com, and our Discord is really helpful. You don't have to be very active in it if you don't want to chat, but there is guides and resources there, and there's a Newbies Corner chat where people very frequently talk about strategy, so you can kind of get a lot of help through that. And also, our community is just really heckin' nice and cool.
Yes, it's definitely a very nice community. If you want to join, feel free. If you're looking at this, the thing is interesting, please go and check out the site, try some seeds, and if you're looking at this and thinking, well, this looks pretty fun, or you've been watching for a bit and are thinking, yeah, I really like this game, kind of wish I was here a bit sooner to join this tournament, we are starting up our ladder. We have created a Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise ladder, which is also linked on our Discord, where we will be going and running races around the clock every day. So we might not go and have races at the convenient time for everyone, but there will be a lot of races, and if you're interested in just getting into the racing scene, feel free to go and give this ladder a try, as it's a great way to get into racing for Enterprise. And Dustygriff has found the adamant on the top of tower. Demas is on the giant. Or package. Adding
Oh
rock
my
is a tournament key item.
gosh.
The only key item spot we haven't checked is Demas. We're going to get a third objective from here. But Demas has the progression to somewhere. It's either package or the giant.
Yeah, we are on a demist hunt here. This is wow. Okay, so once you're at this moment, you're Dustygriff, you've cleared everything. You've seen and cleared everything. Probably no longer feels behind, if I had to guess, because progression was nowhere essentially, and Dia would have to make like the galaxy brain play of going to the package or the giant. Probably not going to do that. So yeah, this is huge. Now it's really just a question of where is that demist. I'm guessing he'll check the package first. That's slightly faster check and much easier. But if it's on the giant, that would be something.
My thoughts are you go giant first. The reason being there are 5 spots left. 5 boss slots left. The Twin Harp fight, the Tower Key fight, package fight, and the 2 fights on the giant. You need to go and hit one of Demas or King Queen Evelyn.
So you're banking that you have power overwhelming, and so Dusty can just get through those encounters pretty quickly.
Dusty has nuke. Dusty can go boom. And
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
to the point, you haven't seen a white mage all seed until you found Fasoya in the giant. It is not an unreasonable play for your opponent to say, before I do moon, I'm doing package to get Porum, and have something have been there. If it's not, no, Dusty is proving me wrong. He's going to go and check package.
Yeah, I think both plays are very defensible here, and I kind of doubt that either of our runners would have really expected the other to take that Porum, just because of the skill level of these two runners. They don't need the white mage to get through the seed, but we'll see who that package boss is.
Yeah, I think my main consideration is not so much do I need this character to get through Zeromus, but can this character get me through Zeromus faster, or get me through the moon faster?
Also, is this the alt gauntlet just like laughing all over the seed?
It's laughing at Dusty. That's right. Dia skipped the alt gauntlet. Does Dia go and hit the alt gauntlet on the moon before she goes demist hunting?
Oh no, probably actually. Dusty, of course, is not going to know this, but oh wow, we'll see what Dia chooses to do.
Yeah, Dia's going to get the rock. Dia's going to go and know that, with the exception of alt gauntlet, every key item spot has been checked. Now, Dia could be highly incentivized to say, I have to believe that alt gauntlet is a blank, and hunt a demist as well.
Yeah, Chad is along this line too, along the mindset of, I've already faded this check. If this check has go mode, I have lost the game, so I need to commit to fading this check. If that is the mindset for Dia, then Dia will check the package and then the giant as well.
Yeah, and we see Dustygriff has gone through the package cutscene, is going to go and get Porum. We're going to go and see the fight for Porum. If this is Demist or King Queen Evelyn, Dusty is going to be on their way to go mode, if not directly in go mode.
And yeah, Chep pointing out that alt gauntlet had nothing, so fading it is correct, but Dia doesn't technically know that.
Yes.
However, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Dia could think, oh, it is King Queen Evelyn, Dusty's in go mode after this.
Oh, and wow. So the Demas is on the giant.
Demas is on the giant that leads to either Tower Key, Rat Tail, or Twin Harp, which then just goes through each other until it gets to a terminal item. And Dia could be very worried that it was a Tower Key to a Rat Tail to a Twin Harp from the moon.
Oh no, so if Dia takes the play that you were talking about, the line you were talking, which is a very reasonable line, that would be even longer that Dia will be behind, because the giant would take quite a bit longer than just finding your objective right here. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Dia here, I think.
The one advantage that Dia has is that Dusty has to walk the moon again, but even if
Dia
Dia
would
goes
have to
straight to
have
the package, it
Dia
is
would
going to
have to
be a
go.
yep.
Sorry, we're talking over each other. You go. You go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if Dia goes straight to the package, she still has to go through the cutscene, and Dustygriff's team is stronger. In a straight power race for Zeromus, Dia is probably going to go and win.
Yeah, I didn't mean to keep cutting you off there. I'm just so excited at this moment. Dia would have to exactly go to the package, and she very well could do that. And she has that pass. Dusty does not. This is a good, 3-4 minute walk all the way down the lunar subterranean. Like 2.5?
2.5 minutes, yes.
Yeah. That's still, 2.5 minutes is a lot.
It is. But that's also about how long, I mean, it's about 2 to 3 minutes at least for the package. I think it's closer to 3 to 4 for package. And Dia is getting to that now, which I think Dia was going and banking on the shorter, more aggressive seed and just didn't get paid out for it.
Dia heading straight to package.
Dia's going to go and get her go mode very soon. It is.
You may be right about this, though. It is the faster check. You may be right about this, that she does still have to go through this cutscene while Dusty is walking down the lunar subterranean. Dusty, I think, is a little bit favored here, but I mean, anything could happen. But you're right. Dusty has both the levels and seems just a little bit ahead in like the timing of things.
Yeah, I think we're going to see how far ahead Dusty is when he goes and gets to the final floor of the lunar subterranean, because it is a shorter walk from the pass. It is a very quick walk from the pass, but we still have to go through the cutscene. We still have to go through going and doing the fight, as in, the cutscenes that are going into Kaipo and coming out of Kaipo for Dia, while Dusty is almost to the bottom of the lunar subterranean. Don't know if Dusty's going to go and save, or if Dusty's just going to go and keep charging straight to Zeromus, thinking, gotta go fast, gotta go fast. I've got enough levels. I'm not going to die to anything. We gotta go fast.
Yeah, Dusty's team, I wouldn't be surprised if he fades the save, because I think this fight is really, really very safe if you're not sure if you're not sure that you'll skip the second Big Bang. If Dusty just makes sure to nerf the first Big Bang. Yep, doesn't even take that save, heading straight to that Zeromus fight. Got a swag walk on our hands.
Is not interested in doing anything. I don't know what Agility Sid is at, but Dusty is confident, I'm going to Zeromus and I'm going to win. No saves. If he takes a wipe, Dia is back in the driver's seat. But Dia is going through, getting the news that, yes, here is go mode, while Dusty is getting to that lunar core and is going to be finding that Zeromus fight. As chat, I do see you are waving some flag.
Yeah, I've said this before, but this is the Mylan Zed Club.
I mean, it looks like they're trying to take a nap, but I don't think you can take a nap with a race this exciting. Or are you referring to the Z flag, the now antiquated flag, where we turned on to change the looks of Zeromus, so we get to go and ask the very important question.
Oh, is it time? Is it mine?
It is your turn.
Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
We have 526 different butts to choose from, and we're going to see which one we get for this exciting, heart-pounding race, as we are going into the final fight. Cecil is throwing the crystal. Callum, I'm going to guess, is going to be throwing up a Star Veil, and we're just going to be throwing out damage on Dusty's side.
And Scala pointing out a chat, our resident, one of our resident devs who has done most of the sprites in this game, pointing out there's 527 sprites now. Again, this is a special race.
This is a special race in honor of Calamity because it is his birthday. This is a special seed for him, and it is Calamity Must.
Oh, I love this.
That harp's on fire because he's the one who sets it on fire so often for us. We're going to need to have Dusty go to that harp because I'm pretty sure that's where the other half of the surprise is supposed to be. This seed was really rude, but happy birthday, Calamity.
Yes, definitely. Happy birthday, Calamity. We appreciate all the work that you've done for all the amazing songs that are in our pool. There is, I have like a top 20 of favorite songs, and that list grows and grows for me.
I steal seeds and name them songs that I like, so I can listen to them when I feel like it. But Kamlani might be hot stuff, but I don't know if he's hot enough for these runners, as Dia is coming into the fight as well, and we're going to have dueling Zeromus fights going on. As Dustygriff is going and laying on the damage with that Crystal Sword Cecil, and Palom throwing out nukes.
Yep, and I believe that was a counter nuke that came off from Zeromus onto that Palom, reflected back onto Zeromus, so no danger there from a counter nuke. And even Sid zerking up here. We're ready to just go to town.
Oh yeah, this is not who is going to, is Zeromus going to be defeated? It's who's going to defeat Zeromus the fastest and with the most just complete and utter overpoweredness.
Big bang coming out for Dustygriff here. Now this is nerfed, so this will not do a lot of damage, and we're already on Fusoya. Doesn't even cue the Cure 4, just kind of guards away.
Yeah, looks
likely looking to get back to Palom to just cast another nuke.
Yeah, it looks like Dustygriff saying, you know what? I've got 3 people berserked, I've got nukes coming out, I am not going to be too worried. Maybe he queues up a Cure 4 when a shake happens, but I don't think we're going to go and see any animation that isn't for damage.
Dia now finally into the fight. Zeromus transformed into our Flaming Harp Specialist. Gets a Berserk up on Cecil and is also looking to push as much damage as possible. Now the counter nuke coming out against Cecil, it is somewhat annoying if he takes too much damage here. She'll probably feel incentivized to cure.
Yes, meanwhile we do go and see that the firebomb used to go and get the counter nuke, not going and bombing with a soak whip, because those probably not going to matter as long as you have enough Zerkers going. Meanwhile, Dusty is just laying on the damage, is set up, has the Berserks out, and is just throwing out nukes, just throwing out damage constantly. Calmness is going and getting shredded as much as he's shredding the harp, and Dustygriff has done it. Going to go and double check our official times, as this is a very close race, and I want to make sure I don't go and call this wrong. No, it is Dustygriff in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, 19 seconds. GG's to Dustygriff in this almost 28 out of 28 clear. Let's see if we can go and get Dusty in here for an interview. And that's a race as we see Dia going and just pushing along, trucking along, healing up, going and relying on the Tri-Zerker setup to just go and take care of this fight.
I know we were joking about a tie, but we nearly had one tonight.
It's real close. This is apparently what happens when you go through 5 rounds of Swiss and have 2 very good runners facing off against each other. Both runners clearing all of the same checks. Dusty just a little bit faster, having gone and taken a bit more efficiencies, going and spending a bit of time here and there that gave him the edge to push forward through some fights a little bit faster than Dia was able to.
Yeah, Dusty really showing how his style of play of looting early and then taking that power and really just ramming through a seed as fast as possible. Dusty is actually an entire alt gauntlet check ahead of Dia, and still won this race. So very, very well done by him. And of course, very well done by Dia as well.
Yeah, Dustygriff going 6-0 against Dia, Knight 2, Martin Broadcloak, Possum Morpheus, PK, and Poorly Drawn Bees. You're probably going to see some of those names again in brackets because a lot of those players are very good, and even the ones who aren't making brackets this time are still very strong runners. And Dia has finished as well with an official time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 12 seconds. GG Dia. See if we can get our runners in for an interview. I've just been informed that we'll be going and doing music first and then interviews, because this is another special thing for the seed, as we will go and be listening to the interesting song special for Calmlanity.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what this song is. I'm sure it's going to be a good one.
Oh yes. Very hard to go and... I mean, all of Calmlanity's work has been great. I've watched I have walked him go and compose a number of these, and some of them have been very nice. I've actually watched him compose a Star Wolf theme that I was able to go and hear live in one of these races. So it is definitely a very, very nice piece of work to go and get to hear.
Oh, I love the Star Wolf theme. I'll have to catch. I hope I catch that one soon. But yeah, this was such a close race between these two. What a great showing between two top runners. Dusty really showing. This is the winner of our last major tournament season. Really showing why he won that tournament, and Dia also showing exactly why she is as feared as she is.
Yeah, this is a seed where Dusty's a very clean, efficient player. He is very hard to beat in just the straight foot race, and Dia also showing she was ahead of Dusty for long stretches of this seed. Dia is a very solid, aggressive player. If the seed was more inclined to reward her aggression and just be, get done early, Dia definitely would have had this very solidly. But I'm going to shut up and listen to music. And while we're listening to Treadward from Final Fantasy IV, a special remix made by Comlanity, we are now joined by our winner of the 6th round of Swiss, going 6-0 for the full distance, Dustygriff. How are you feeling right now?
In pain.
That is understandable.
Yeah, that was I don't know what we did to anger Moonblaze Wolf when he rolled the seed and talked to the bot and did things, but my god, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that seed really did. I'm gonna start at the end. When you discovered that it was likely that something was on package, were you concerned at all that Dia might have been considering a white mage for her party before going to Moon?
I thought about it, but I also know how Dia plays, and I really doubted that Dia would touch that package anytime early in the same way that I would, want to go to package and get basically any character at that point that wasn't Fu. So I felt mostly confident that I was okay here. But yeah, it was a little scary because Dia's super fast. I figured it was pretty close the whole time, especially towards the end once it was looking that way that it was either required giant or required package or either or.
Yeah.
In this case. So it turned out really interesting because the early part of the seed I felt behind because I kept doing things that led to nothing and they were close wipes. Like that Golbez fight was sketchy, the Dark Elf fight was sketchy. They weren't wipes, but they took longer than I would hope. So yeah, it was a lot of I don't know where I am in this seed, and I don't know where Dia is. Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely a very solid race entirely. And I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask you a question. When you got through Maga Sisters, did you think you were ahead or behind?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Mega Sisters were at Hook, right?
Yes, they were the hook boss.
I felt behind then because I had done so much. I felt really good about doing the Dark Imps play on the moon, but it led to nothing. It gave me really good experience. It set me up super well, but as long as Palm had Quake, that didn't really matter, which it did get him Quake, but I could have done that other ways. But yeah, it was a little rough because I felt like, oh, my plays were fine up to that point. It's just doing so many and have them be dead ends. When you have an open moon and all these other checks that you choose to do that lead to nothing in the overworld, well, Baron mainly, Baron early anyways, until of course later getting Cecil online. But yeah, it felt strange. I felt behind at that point, I would say. I was like, I wanted to just keep playing the game I always play. So even though I felt a little bit behind, I didn't feel behind enough to start doing any sort of gambles once I hit the underworld.
Yeah, you were at that point in time 1 minute and 12 seconds behind. And Solaris, please go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of that moon, walk us through going to the moon and not the Fey March. And also, I'm very curious how you were feeling once you found that alt gauntlet.
I was actually feeling pretty relieved because I was like, I have to do a grind anyways at some point. You know, I probably could go with the levels and the team that I have pretty easily, but I was pretty well planning on doing a few gold dragons or something up there. And I was like, oh, this is kind of perfect. This is a alt gauntlet that I can deal with extremely easily. I have a Dragoon Spear, Crystal Sword Cecil, a Teller that can weak. I only had one coffin left over for the trickers, but it wasn't too big of a deal. So it actually felt pretty nice for the most part, and that's why I committed so hard to it, because I was like, this is going to be decently fast, and it's also going to get me online for the rest of the moon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's essentially a grind in a box.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that you're 6-0, just walk us through quickly, like, what's your mindset going into the next 2 weeks? You had already, of course, secured not having to play in the play-in that some of the 4 and 2s will have to do after our week break. But going into brackets, like, just walk us through a little bit about your mindset, about how you approach that.
I think I'm going to have to change up a few things of my play. Not a lot, because I've played very similarly across most of the flag sets I've ever played, and it's kind of a sort of semi-conservative style, but I always have a really good idea of what I can do at any given time, typically, except for Odin, apparently, at Seal's Cave, which for brackets, it's going to be really interesting. I think there's a lot of different things you have to consider with the money management on brackets, as well as the character management, because there's no dupes. So it's going to be a lot of practice over the next 2 weeks. I'm really excited. I enjoy tougher flag sets. I've done a lot of kata and stuff in my days, so it's going to be interesting to see how the field changes after that point. Not getting so many, good chests and stuff, and be able to buy a big stack of sirens easily.
Yeah, that is going to be a real interesting change, because the Cell Zero is going to be a very, very mean change compared to this T-Wildish fund all of your sirens.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to have to guide a lot of people's seeds here, because you need money. You need money usually to deal with at least the fights, if not, Zeramis and leveling and everything else. So yeah, it's going to be a lot more management, I think, and fight management, money management than it was previously, which is interesting. It's kind of a different flavor of FE, I think, because it's been so easy up to this point to just loot a lot and sell everything, which has been a lot of what I've done in the past.
Yeah, we're turning up the scarcity, where instead of going and turning down the shops, we're leaving them alone, but you will not have the money for them. And brackets, I agree, are going to be very interesting. Well, Solaris, do you have any final questions for Dustygriff?
No, that's really it for me. Just GG's again, and thank you for putting on such a good show for us and showing your technical proficiency. And yeah, I wanted to call out to your style because you and Dia really, I think this race leaned on your own personal styles very well, and it led to differences that you'll notice when you go back to watch. But still kept you very close together. So that was just, it was an honor to do comms for your race. And thanks again.
Thank you both for commentating this one, and Moonblaze for restreaming, and also for tracking. Appreciate it. And yeah, GG's to Dia. It's so close, and it was exactly kind of the race I wanted in terms of how close the times were and how much we kind of got to show off in this race. So GG's to Dia, big time.
Yeah, this was a fantastic race and definitely a great one. GG's again, and have a great evening.
You both do. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. And we are now joined by Dia. GG's, Dia.
Thank you.
So you had...
Oh, you
All right, I have one question I have to ask from the beginning of the seed. Wyvern and Atlion, Kane, did you know he was going to go and get the jump off, or were you going and kind of just working on a wing and a prayer there?
We'll say I knew.
I respect that.
Same. Hard same. Well, it worked out.
That was a play and a half, and I am here for it. That was... You played very aggressive the whole seed. How are you feeling going throughout the first part of that up through Magus Sisters?
That was kind of my plan going into this, was to take the loot and like just cut down as much of the extra as I could and just play it really aggressively. I've been doing bracket flags recently. Like, I've kind of stopped practicing Swiss at this point, so I'm a bit more used to working with less now than I was at the start of the Swiss flags. So I was able to cut off a lot of the fat and just get to what I needed.
Certainly makes a lot of sense. And one of the plays that you made that was very standout, you went and scouted your hook character early, but then left to go to the moon. What was driving you on that front?
I wanted to go to Ebling Cave first to see if there were hourglasses, which there were, and that allows me to take the hair dryers up there, which is a pretty good chance to get a weapon for either of my canes or maybe my Cecil.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. And I did go and get some good experience. It did end up getting you Quake on the Kid. And not, unfortunately, anything great for your characters. I do believe you popped a Bahamut summon from that, if not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was the first of like 2 or 3 Bahamuts.
Yep. Lots of dragons this seed.
Did that Bahamut tempt you at all to go and check, take Iridia if you find one, or were you just going to say no to the child?
I immediately sold it for a Runax.
That's very fair. That makes a lot of sense. Screw dragons, Runax, especially since you knew that boss you were heading up to in the Magus Sisters.
Yep.
Poor Iridia, feeling so neglected and unloved, and not getting to fire off Dragon Gods, though. It's not like we saw her anyways.
I mean, once you see a Bahamut, I just know Iridia's not going to show up.
Oh, like Edge and all of his Hanzo steel.
Yep, and a crystal sword with Cecil, though this time we had a Cecil and a crystal sword. Walk us through how you were feeling once you picked up that crystal sword from the Pinktail.
I was a bit worried. I figured that Rubicon fight is definitely durable earlier, so there's a pretty decent chance that Dusty had that crystal sword before heading down the hook route. I would talk after. I know he didn't, but like at that point, it's just like he very well could have that advantage on me. But that's only a couple boxes. It shouldn't make too big a difference, even if he did have it. So, and then like no white mage, you kind of want that power.
Agreed. And speaking of no white mage, were you ever at all tempted to go and grab that Porum before going up to the moon? Or are you deciding that no, I'm not going to go into? So
No.
what drove that more than anything? I know that many people like to have a white mage to go and easier to go to Zeromas on lower levels if you can go and cast Cure 4, but Porum's also not the white mage to do that.
Part of it's just, it's a Porum and not a Rosa. But even if it was Rosa, I probably just don't take it. Like, I came into this flag set knowing I had to play aggressively and, like, to beat Dusty here. So, taking the time out to do the package for a character isn't worth it. Taking the time out to package for a boss check, that's a different story.
Yeah, that boss check was a check, all right. That was at the end of the siege. We were going counting down bosses. I do believe there was a correct answer to this, but any reason to go and focus on package over giant?
Yes. One of them, I get stuck in a giant with 64k HP. And if that's demist on the giant at 64k, that is awful. Because my only damage is Cecil, essentially. And that's a crystal sword. That's not fun.
And it turns out that demist is on the giant somewhere. I'm not sure which spot it's at, but that could have easily turned out to be true.
It's probably 64k.
Did you go back and check, or are you going to go and leave that to be a mystery, never to be resolved?
I'll leave it to the mystery for everyone.
No. Anyone can go. No, that's definitely a mystery to go and be left. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting seed, and overall an amazing race to watch. You are 5-1, which changes very little for you. How are you feeling going into brackets?
Still trying to work around the best way to play the bracket seeds, but feeling pretty good about my ability to adapt to them and play with less resources. So everyone just feeling pretty good about it. We'll see how it goes when we get there, though.
Sounds reasonable. Solaris, do you have any final questions for Dia?
No, that's it for me. Just GG's, Dia, and thank you for putting on such a good race for us.
Thank you.
GG's, Dia, and thank you again for putting on such an amazing show. That was a fantastic seed to watch. As I don't know if you're going to be watching it back, I'd recommend it because it was just fantastic to see, and you held the lead for a long time. Dusty went and made some checks. We both lost where the lead could be, and it was just a fantastic race back and forth with an incredibly trolly seed.
Yeah, definitely plan on watching this one back, just to see like where I lost the time, where I made up time, that sort of thing. Because apparently he said I did like half the treasure he did, so I have a feeling that may have a little bit to do with it.
I can tell you one place where you had time. You had 1 minute and 12-second advantage on Dusty over going into the underground.
Wow.
But he did go and do the Dark Imps on the moon instead of going and grinding the chest that you did, so.
And that kind of check always feels risky to me. Yes, it can be a free boss, but I'm pretty sure I had just seen Water Hag and the soldiers in 2 free spots. So I'm not going to go make that walk in the Cave Bahamut to see if it's a freebie, when I know that I have a hairdryer chest right there that's going to give me something, like, probably sellable. And I can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it just kind of is unfortunate the way it played out, though, because Dusty was able to get the experience that you got, but you had to come back and take that check, essentially. Yeah. I think that's really one of the main points. You probably lost a little bit of time.
And that'll happen. Like, if he goes there and it's not free, well, now he has the wasted time going in there and has to exit out, so.
Exactly.
It's just rando.
Yep. No, it's definitely a fantastically run race. The difference in times is just, we can see why you're both at least 5 wins so far. So, GG's to you, and have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
GG's, Dia, and thanks again.
Thank you.
And with that, we are at the end of our race, the fantastic Dia Dustygriff race. But this is not the end of racing for this evening. We have another race on Free Enterprise that is just getting started. We are going to be sending you on over there very shortly, but as a reminder, please do not go and spoil the results of this race. You are free to go and let them know it was an amazing race, but let them find out what the results are themselves, because I'm sure everyone wants to go and see this race.
Yeah, this was definitely a great one. And I want to make sure I shout out very quick, because we didn't get time to get to it, but that twin harp song, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It was that Edward remixed called Shredward. If you happen to miss it, definitely go back and check out that harp song. It is, it is mind blowing. It's so good. It is so good.
It is certainly a fantastic piece by the lovely Calm Latity, who we would like to say again, happy birthday to. And
It's been
thank
playing
you
this
for
whole time. Chad is putting out. I have the stream muted once we were back to the interview, but yeah, that is the birthday song for Calm Lamity, and I'm just so happy about it.
I am too. But here we are starting the raid for Free Enterprise. Thank you all again for joining us, and have a great evening.
Have a great night, y'all. Cheers.